2GoCloud was initially designed back in 2012 to address the challenge of how to get mobile access to complex, often legacy, enterprise applications. It has a tagline of universal mobile access, and that will give you an understanding of what we're trying to achieve. On a mobile device, you can get to any and all of the applications that you're entitled to use. It's secure, as you'll find, because there's no data stored on the device. It's very rapid to implement and it's very cost-effective. What then are the issues with mobility and access to enterprise applications? Well, first, the level of investment required. Developing mobile apps is very expensive. Second, the disruption caused to users. Typically, the UIs of mobile apps require retraining. Mobile apps tend to be task-specific. They very rarely, if ever, give you a broad reach across your systems, and they're vendor-specific. If you develop a mobile app for Oracle, it doesn't work for SAP and vice versa. They don't handle legacy applications. Anything that is not cloud-enabled is effectively barred from being mobile. And they're insecure. Typically, there is a risk of data loss or theft because of the loss or theft of the device. So how does 2GoCloud address these? The first thing is, we take you mobile in days without having to develop any mobile apps. It's a familiar user interface, so you don't have to retrain your users. It's not task-specific. We can work across multiple applications. It copes with any system and changes. So, if you do decide to move from Oracle to SAP, 2GoCloud will go with you. And it copes with both legacy and SaaS systems simultaneously at the same time. What's more, with no data stored on the device, it's completely secure. So how does it work? Well, first of all, we have client apps for both iOS and Android devices. You simply download them from the App Store free of charge. But in order to access your corporate systems, we need to validate your device. We send you an email and ask you to open it on the device. That connects your device to our validation servers. We pull off some technical information about the device, not user information. Then hand over control to the core of the system, which is something we call the 2Go server software. This recognizes the new device but realizes it needs to have some information about who's going to use it. So it instructs the client to open up a login screen. You enter your credentials. But they're not stored on the device. Instead, they are pixelated, encrypted, and squirted back up to the 2Go server where they're decrypted. And at that point, the 2Go server does two things simultaneously. First of all, it turns on all the attributes that we're using within the 2GoCloud system to help you to work more productively. Things like custom gestures, voice dictation directly into applications, specialized keyboards, etc. The second thing it does is, it passes those security credentials off to the authentication system in use in the organization. We don't do the authentication. We simply look for a success token back from the authentication system to say, yes, this is a valid login. Having got that authentication confirmed, we then use the success token to look up your profile in another system we use, not displayed here, called Firebase, also running in the cloud. And on Firebase, we hold the information about what applications you are entitled to use, what's your role in those applications, where are they installed, and by that we mean geographically. And then lastly, how do we connect to those systems? The configuration information required for 2GoCloud to be able to connect to those applications. That completes the process of enabling the whole system to work. The 2Go server, in essence, makes the connection for you between your device and the applications you want to use, and controls the communication in an encrypted form, by streaming pixels, backwards and forwards, between the different elements. You are then in a situation where you can use the device to interact directly with those remote applications. One last piece of software, if we need it, is that we developed our own VPN gateway solution, if we need to actually tunnel in, effectively to get to the applications you want to work with. So what does it look like? Well, this is not actually our system, but a representation. You'll see immediately that we did not go down the route of deploying a web browser interface. What we have is our own native UI icon-driven navigation system. Here is the application icon, for example. If I tap on the application icon, you can see that what I now get is a scrollable list of other icons or tiles, the applications that I'm entitled to work with. I can scroll through these, pick and choose whichever ones I wish, what we call dynamic navigation. Having selected a particular application, if it requires me to use specialized keyboards, I can float different keyboards onto the device. My iPad, for example, has function keys and control keys, even though an iPad doesn't understand those. The underlying application does. Having selected the application, in this case ClickView, as you can see, what I've now got is full screen ClickView to work with. Let me stress, ClickView isn't running on my iPad. It's running back in the data center on the servers there. But I can work directly with ClickView on my iPad because I can, for example, use our custom gesture library to do different things to ClickView. Alternatively, I could tap on the screen, turn on the voice dictation process, and dictate a revision to the values contained within a cell. That change is not made on my iPad. It is effectively made back on the server where ClickView is actually running. The system runs across AWS and other cloud providers. We have it stood up in 8 different regions of AWS, giving us support, no matter where you are, to be able to access your applications. And also running on AWS is some software we've developed that looks at the AWS system to determine what is the most optimum route to connect you between where you are, and where your systems are, where your applications are. All the time, this software is running, looking for the ability to dynamically reroute you if there are bottlenecks due to either contention or issues with the availability of parts of the AWS system. We've worked very successfully with a whole series of different organizations. Our very first customer, for example, was the Met Police, with real-time crime information for patrolling the streets of London. Our next was Marks & Spencer, working on site in their store developments, looking at supply chain information. The BMW Group wanted a dealer management system to work across the whole of the UK. 2GoCloud was an integral part of that. We work very strongly with partners as well, as you can see, and our key partner, Atos, and we are happy to be part of the Atos SME Horizons program. Thank you for listening.